All right. Let's jump into this fantasy novel, Quicksilver. It's been making some serious waves on Audible, and we're going to try to figure out why so many listeners are hooked.
Sounds like fun.
We've got Amazon and Audible's sales pages, tons of customer reviews, and of course, you're getting a problem from to help us explore it all.
I'm ready.
So the story starts in this super harsh desert world where we meet Sierra's Fane.
Okay.
She's definitely not your typical fantasy heroine. She's tough, resourceful, and get this.
What's that?
She steals water from the queen.
Whoa, hold on. Stealing from the queen.
Yeah,
Especially in a desert,
exactly.
where water is basically life. That's a bold move. Tells you a lot about her character.
Right. It's a desperate act, but it shows how far she's willing to go.
Definitely a bit of a rebel.
And the reviews hint that rebellious streak is just the beginning.
Yeah.
But things change big time when Ceres runs into death himself.
Death.
Yeah, and through a portal, she ends up in this freezing land called Euvalia.
Wow. What a change of scenery. From scorching desert to ice. That's a classic portal fantasy setup, but that contrast is really smart. It creates instant tension.
For sure.
The reader is thrown into this totally alien world right alongside Ceres. It's disorienting in the best way.
Like being pulled out of your comfort zone and into the unknown.
Exactly. And this is where the world building really shines. We find out that the Fae are real in this world, and they've been stuck in this war that's gone on for centuries. But what's really interesting is the type of conflict. It's not just good versus evil.
Oh, so there's more to it.
A lot more.
Yeah.
The reviews mention political factions, ancient prophecies, and a complex magic system that's tied to the balance of power.
Sounds intense. And right in the middle of it all is Ceres, our desert thief. She's the first of her kind to step foot in Euvalia in over 1,000 years.
Wow.
It's getting more than just coincidence, right?
Does it make you wonder?
It feels like chosen one territory.
It's a classic trope, but it works. The idea that someone ordinary, even a thief, could be the key to ending a war that's lasted for centuries. It's a powerful idea.
It makes you think, does Ceres even want to be the chosen one? She just wanted to survive in her own world.
Right, not save someone else's. That inner conflict between wanting a simple life and having this huge destiny suddenly thrust on her, that's where the real drama comes in.
And speaking of drama, let's talk about Kingfisher.
Okay.
He's a Fey warrior with secrets, a bad attitude, and he's bound to Ceres. I don't know about you, but I'm curious. What does bound even mean in this context?
Yeah, that's a good question. The reviewers use terms like magical connection, shared destiny, even soulmates. So it's not just a simple team up.
Oh, so there's something deeper going on.
Definitely. A mystical element.
Adding a whole other layer to things. It's like their fates are tied together whether they like it or not.
Exactly. And that tension, that push and pull between two characters bound by forces outside their control. It's a classic setup for an enemies to lovers romance.
Ah, so there's romance, but it sounds like Quicksilver is more than just fluttering hearts.
Absolutely. Remember those reviews?
Yeah.
You mentioned action, adventure, plot twists, and humor.
People are saying it's a roller coaster. Keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, Callie Hart knows how to write a story that keeps you hooked.
One reviewer even said, and boy did this book deliver. There was action-adventure twists, spice humor, and amazing character development. There were so many surprises in this book.
It sounds like she really knows how to keep things fresh and exciting, even with familiar tropes like The Chosen One or enemies to lovers.
Totally. But before we get to those glowing reviews, let's unpack what makes this connection between Ceres and Kingfisher so interesting. What do you think is at the heart of it?
Well, on the surface, you have this clash of personalities. Ceres is resourceful, used to relying on herself. Then you have Kingfisher, this warrior who's bound by duty and tradition. They come from completely different worlds, literally and figuratively.
So you get that initial spark of conflict.
Exactly. But it's deeper than just personality. They both want different things. Ceres just wants to get back home to her desert. But Kingfisher needs her.
Oh.
He needs her unique magic to protect his people. So their goals are completely opposite.
That's got to cause a problem.
It does. It creates this dilemma. You want them to find common ground, but everything is pushing them apart.
And that's where the bound element comes in.
Right, exactly. It's more than just a physical or magical connection. Reviewers are suggesting a deeper bond, a shared destiny that goes beyond what they want individually.
So even though their goals are tearing them apart, fate is pulling them together. No wonder people are calling this romance epic.
It's that classic push and pull that works so well. But it's important to remember that Quicksilver isn't just about romantic tension. You mentioned all those reviews talking about the action, the adventure, the twists.
Right, and boy did this book deliver. There was action-adventure twists, spice humor, and amazing character development. There were so many surprises in this book.
It sounds like Callie Hart isn't afraid to shake things up, keep the reader guessing.
And that's important in any genre, but especially fantasy. Sometimes you can get bogged down in the world building or the magic system. But here it sounds like the story never slows down.
Exactly. You get that sense of momentum, that feeling of being swept along. But what I find really interesting is that even with all the action and adventure, the reviews still highlight the emotional depth of the story. They talk about relatable characters, heartfelt moments, even humor to break up the tension.
So it's not just all action all the time.
Not at all. It's like Callie Hart is weaving together all these different elements, the action, the romance, the humor. It creates a richer story.
It's a good reminder that even in a fantasy world with magic and mythical creatures, it's the human element that we connect with. But speaking of connecting, let's go back to that magic system. Reviewers are saying it's unlike anything they've seen before. What makes it so special?
It seems to be really connected to the world itself. It's not just spells or powers, it's part of the very fabric of Yavalia. It influences the environment, the creatures, even how the characters feel.
Whoa, so it's not just a tool, it's like a fundamental force.
Right, and that opens up all sorts of possibilities for the story. Reviewers talk about unpredictable magic, even dangerous magic with consequences that can affect the whole world.
So it's more than just a way to solve problems. It's a source of conflict and change.
And it sounds like Callie Hart explores both the good and bad sides of magic, how it can be used and abused. That moral complexity makes the story much more interesting.
It makes you think about the characters' choices and their struggles. But before we get too deep into the magic, I have to ask, how does Ceres, our desert thief, fit into all of this world where magic is everywhere? How do you think she adapts?
Well, she's used to a harsh life, right? But the desert is predictable. In a way, now she's in this place where magic is everywhere. It's not just something you do, it's a part of life.
Like moving to a new country where you don't know the language, except the language is magic.
Exactly. And that makes her journey so relatable. She's learning as she goes, just like the reader, making mistakes, facing these new challenges, and figuring out where she belongs in this world.
The reviews talk about how resourceful she is and quick thinking. Do those traits help her in this new world?
It seems like they do. She doesn't rely on brute force or magic. Instead, she watches, she learns, she uses her smarts to figure things out. And that challenges what people think about power in this society.
So she's not playing by their rules.
Not at all. She's proving that strength can come from different places. It's not all about magic. And that defiance, that refusal to just fit in, that's what makes her such an interesting character.
And I bet that clashes with Kingfisher, right? He's all about duty and tradition.
It definitely creates conflict, but it's more than just a personality clash. It's about different ideas, different ways of seeing the world.
So they're pushing each other to change.
In a way, they're each other's catalysts. They force each other to confront their own beliefs and grow.
That's what makes a story great, right? Characters that make us think and question our own views.
Absolutely. And it sounds like Quicksilver does that really well. But let's not forget about the writing itself. People can't stop praising Callie Hart's style.
They use words like lyrical, evocative. They say her writing is beautiful, that she creates a world you can almost see and touch.
It's clear she's good at drawing readers in. You don't just read about this world, you experience it. You can practically feel the cold air, smell the magic scents, the tension between the characters.
It's like she's built this world and invited us to step right in.
And it's not just the world building. The reviewers love the characters too. The way she gives them each a voice and a past. Even the smaller characters feel real.
So it's a story that's rich in detail, both the world and the people in it. But let's go back to that question we started with. What makes Quicksilver so captivating? Why is it different from all the other fantasy books out there?
I think it's the combination. The characters, the world, the magic, the fast-paced plot, and the writing. It's a story that grabs you in so many ways.
And it stays with you. It makes you think about power, about love, about the choices we make when things get tough. It's the kind of story you want to talk about and revisit.
And that's what makes a truly great book, right? It goes beyond just being a story. It says something about what it means to be human.
It's been awesome exploring Quicksilver with you. We've covered a lot. A desert thief in a frozen world, a unique magic system, a warrior bound to a woman who challenges him, and a love story set against all this chaos. But like any good deep dive, we end up with even more questions. And that's a good thing, right?
Absolutely. It means the story got us thinking and imagining and wanting more.
And who knows, maybe it's inspired some of you to start writing your own stories, your own worlds, your own characters, your own magic systems. So here's something to think about. What kind of magic system would you create if you were writing a fantasy novel? What would the rules be? What would it make possible?
We'd love to hear your ideas. And until next time, keep exploring, keep imagining, and keep reading.
Yeah, it's a huge adjustment. She's going from this harsh but predictable world to a place where magic is in everything. It's not just something you learn, it's like breathing.
So how does she handle it? I mean, the reviews mentioned she's resourceful and a quick thinker. Did those help her out here? Yeah, it seems like those skills are key. She doesn't just try to overpower everything with magic or strength. She watches, she learns. She uses her brain to figure things out. And in a way, she's challenging the whole idea of what it means to be powerful in this world.
It's like she's showing them a different way to be strong, not just relying on magic.
Exactly. And that makes her stand out.
Yeah.
She's not afraid to question things, to do things her own way. That's what makes her such a great character.
And I bet that causes even more tension with Kingfisher, right? He's all about tradition and following the rules.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It creates conflict. But it's not just a personality clash. It's about different ways of looking at the world.
So they're both learning from each other, pushing each other to grow.
Yeah, they're forcing each other to confront their own beliefs and maybe change them. That's what makes for a really compelling story.
And it sounds like Callie Hart doesn't just nail the characters and the world building. The writing itself is amazing.
The reviewers rave about it. They say it's beautiful and vivid.
Yeah, I've seen words like lyrical and breathtaking. They say she creates a world you can practically step into.
It's clear she's talented. She makes you feel like you're right there in the story. You can feel the cold, the magic, the tension between the characters.
It sounds incredible. And thousands of people agree. It's clear Quicksilver is doing something special. But let's get back to that original question. What makes this so captivating? Why do people love it so much?
I think it's everything working together. The great characters, the detailed world, the unique magic, the fast-paced plot, and the writing. It all comes together to create something really special.
It's a story that stays with you long after you're done reading. It makes you think about big things like power and love and the choices we make.
It makes you want to talk about it with other people, to go back and experience it again, and that's the sign of a truly great book.
Absolutely. Well, it's been awesome dissecting Quicksilver with you today. We've covered a lot. A desert thief thrust into a frozen world. A magic system unlike anything you've seen before. A warrior bound to a woman who challenges everything he thought he knew. And a love story that plays out against all this chaos.
Yeah.
But like with all our deep dives, I feel like we're left with more questions than answers.
And that's a good thing. It means the story has sparked something in us, got us thinking and wanting to know more.
And who knows, maybe it's even inspired some of you listening to start creating your own stories, your own worlds and characters. So here's something to think about. What kind of magic system would you create if you were writing a fantasy novel? What would make it special? What possibilities would it open up?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep exploring, keep imagining, and keep reading.